Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with the only man that calls me young man, Frank Warren of Queensbury Promotions. It's one of your sayings, Frank. So going into this fight with Wardley and Huni, one thing that keeps getting brought up is Fabio Wardley's background of being white collar. Do you see that as a tag that you want to remove from Wardley, considering he's a guy who's won a British title? Should we be talking about the white collar background now?
It is what it is. You're not going to change it, so that's a fact. That's where he's come from. But he's won the English, the British, and the Commonwealth title. He's gone on that traditional route. Out of his 18 wins, he's whacked out 17 of them. So he's not bad, is he?
What threat does Huni pose to him? I saw that, or listening to the report that the bookies got Fabio Wardley a favourite in this fight. Is it wrong?
No, I think he is favourite. For me, he's favourite. I fancy him. That's why we made the fight. Huni's he's a competitor. I've seen him fight live twice. He's got a stellar or sterling amateur background. But this is professional boxing, and he's looked good. He showed he's got heart. Certainly against Kevin Lorena, he showed he's had heart. But I think he's in with a guy that's been learning his trade literally on his feet, and he's a tough competitor. He's a consummate professional. He always looks in great shape. He looks after himself, and I think it's going to be a tough fight.
With the WBA interim heavyweight world title on the line, what position in the queue for that shot will the winner be in, do you feel?
The next one is the WBO, but he's number one in the WBO. Huni, or was number one. Seeing what happens, he won't be number one if it goes how we hope after this fight.
Lots of, like we said before, lots of heavyweight balls to juggle, which seem to be doing a job of. But one of them that's dropped off of this card is Dillon White. Now, you've said that he's going to be in a big fight. What can you tell us about that?
I can't tell you anything about it, but we can't take the risk. It's a fight early August, so we couldn't. He didn't want to fight because it would have jeopardised this opportunity for him. So that's why he's off the card. That's the truth of the matter. It's a shame for some of the fans that they're coming, but as a fighter and at his age, it's a big opportunity for him to make some serious money.
The only fight date as of now that seems to be penciled in for August is this prospective fight between Teo Lopez and Devin Haney. Could White feature on that card?
I don't think that fight's going to happen.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't know. No, we're working on a few things, but that'll all come to light. Until we get them signed, it's pointless talking about it. It's just that, I'm telling you why he's not on. Why he's not fighting on Saturday, because anything happens, you've got a clash of heads, a cut, he loses that opportunity. And at his age and where he's at, he doesn't want that to happen.
There's a number of fighters that I'm sure would vie the opportunity to fight Dillon White. One of those who's put his name in the queue is Lawrence Aoli, your fighter. What's the prospect of White and Aoli getting into the ring? Considering I think they had a handshake, didn't they? The press conference for White Joyce.
Well, maybe down the road that happen. We'll see. Excuse me.
No worries.
We'll see. Down the road, maybe that will happen. But the bottom line of it is, as I say, we're in negotiation. I can't really comment on names at the moment.
The other one I just mentioned, I appreciate you can't comment on names, is Joe Parker. That's a rematch of a fight that happened a number of years ago, which was an exciting fight between the two of them. Possible?
Joe won't be ready in August.
Okay. And the other one would be Moses Tammy. You think that for a heavyweight coming up, you'd want to pencil some names into the ledger, and White would be a big name for him?
If that happened, that would be a massive fight, but no, not at the moment.
You mentioned about Teo and Devin, that fight not happening. What is the current status from what you've heard as a man in the know?
I don't know, it's just not happening. I know what you know. It's been online, it's not happening. That's how I understand the position is at this moment in time.
Coming back to this card, Lewis Richardson, of course, coming from his Olympic success. You've seen, obviously, talent come and go. How far do you think he can, given his background?
Look, I like him, and I like what he's done in the Olympics. He's got an impeccable amateur background. He's with us. The last medalist we signed was quite a while ago, and that was James DeGale. We've had a few medalists in our times. Another one which we really invested heavily in was Amir Khan. So you can put him with them, because that's how we look at it. He's an unbelievable signing for us, and we're really looking forward to working with him. And I do believe he has the tools and the attitude to go all the way.
Considering he's had that spotlight of the Olympics, do you keep him in his catchment area or do you take him across the UK and abroad?
Well, he's here. We always do with the fights. We take him around, put them on shows where they're going to get exposure, and he'll get a lot of exposure on this show.
Alo Jr. took his opportunity exposure, getting a knockout win over David Jamieson. He's just said on the stream that he wants Vidal Riley. He was also said they'd be interested in that fight. Prospect of making those two fight?
I'd love to do that fight. I think it's a good fight for him. You know, Aloy's, I've got high expectations of him. He's done the game. He's done so well, and he's such a powerful puncher. And he can box a bit, as he showed in his last fight up in Scotland. You know, that he was in with someone who got a superb jab, who was using it, and he just stayed with him, broke him down, and eventually, you know, punched the fight out of him. That's what he does. He's so powerful. If he hits you, I believe he takes the fight out of you when he catches you.
You've got Frank Smith here of Queensberry, who I guess your fight has punched out of his fighters in the first Matchroom versus Queensberry. I guess now A-side Queensberry versus Matchroom. But have you had conversations about what would be on the slate for that second prospective Queensberry Matchroom card?
Yeah, we've had a couple of conversations about it. I know my son George and Eddie have been speaking. Frank and I briefly touched on it today. It's something we're definitely going to do.
Any fights you can tell us about?
Not really. We're ready to announce them. We're announcing them. Otherwise, there's no point of a press conference.
You mentioned earlier about the possibility that Teo and Devin might not happen. We're waiting information on Canelo and Terence Crawford. Again, as a man in the know.
I believe that fight's all set to take place in early September.
Okay. In Las Vegas, potentially? Do you know
That's where I think it makes sense to put it on.
And I wanted to ask you as well about a couple of fighters who've been looking for opportunities that have featured recently on Queensberry cards. One of them is Brad Pauls. Is there anything you can do for Brad Pauls, Frank?
Yeah, funny. I spoke with Lee, our matchmaker, and I mentioned him to him. So let's hope we can do something for him.
The other one is that I believe it's an ex-Army background, Ben Vaughan, who was in a brilliant fight against Echo Westman, who's now beating Josh Taylor. What about the prospect of getting Ben Vaughan back on a card?
I hope so. Again, you know. We're back in the office on Monday, get this show out of the way. He's got a list of things we're looking at, and hopefully those guys will be involved in a couple of fights.
The final thing I wanted to ask you about is it's never obviously a good situation to talk about, but there's been another positive test in boxing that features Ayman this time round, who was on the Canelo undercard. He's obviously going to protest his innocence, is waiting for the B sample back, but another occurrence of a positive test in boxing.
Well, it'll take its process, and time will tell where you know once they have their hearing. The problem is some of these hearings take so long, but once the hearing's done and dusted, we'll know where he stands.
Frank, much appreciated. Looking forward to the fights this weekend.